Hi, good to see you. I'm Max, and in this video we will talk about why stake pools are Cardano's growth methods. And I think this is a concept which is clearly um, either very misunderstood or actually not talked about at all. And I think it's one of the core strengths of Cardano as a network. And so let's begin first by having a quick overview of how Bitcoin mining pools work and how they impact the Bitcoin ecosystem. So when you look at Bitcoin mining pools, they are often based in China or in Canada or I think also in Iceland. Mainly because the electricity is very cheap. So they are incredibly centralized in these regions. And you have, I guess, three, four pools which control more than 50% of the network. On top of that, these mining pools don't actually contribute to the growth of the network. They mainly just extract value from it and then sell it directly after on the markets, which allows buyers to access liquidity. And so the advantages is that it's a pretty efficient model, but it's in terms of, I guess, in terms of centralization, is definitely not ideal. And in terms of commitments towards the Bitcoin network, it's really, really horrible, right? Because they just don't care about Bitcoin itself. And it's also the reason why, for example, you have had some mining pools which supported, for example, Bitcoin Cash when the hard fork took place, because they don't care. Like, they're just there to grab money, that's it. And like, the the networks themselves, they don't matter for them. So if they can have another network where they can mine free money, well, why not, right? They're there, and so their interests aren't necessarily aligned with the protocol. Now, a second point is Ethereum validators. So you may have heard that, I think it was last week, or no, it was early this week. Um, the beacon chain, so phase 0 of Ethereum 2.0 launched, which means that you can now stake your Ether by essentially locking it up during around 2 years on the Ethereum 2.0 chain. And so it will stay locked up during 2 years. And if you have 32 Ether, you can run a validator. And so the mechanics, so Ethereum is going to proof of stake, and this beacon chain is based on proof of stake, but it's a different proof of stake than what Cardano is based on. So when you look at Ethereum, you will see that it's either you have the 32 Ether or you don't, right? If you don't have 32 Ether, there is no way without using third parties to earn interest on your stake by essentially participating in consensus. If you have 32 Ether, then you can create a validator. But if you don't, you will need to go through, for example, services like Coinbase, Binance, I think also offers that, Rocket Pool, which is a protocol based on Ethereum, which essentially offer third-party staking. But of course, you are dependent on these entities. And regarding commitments towards the network, there is commitments in the sense that in this case, for example, the rewards are locked for 2 years. So there is commitment in the sense that, well, the network is still in development, but when the network will be fully launched, there is not really a form of commitments, right? Because you can essentially immediately sell your rewards as a validator, and again, no one cares, right? Like, not really good commitments. And then, Cardano enters the game, and Cardano, you have real commitments. And the reason why you have real commitments is because, well, first, I forgot to mention that with Ethereum, you have proper decentralization. So as a proof of stake, you can create, you don't need to necessarily use a ton of electricity. So you can run it from home. And so Ethereum 2.0 will be already a ton more decentralized than Bitcoin. We are speaking of, I think at the moment, around 20,000 validators running on Ethereum 2.0. So it's pretty decentralized actually. It's a very wide network. And then to talk about Cardano, Cardano, you essentially have this commitments towards the network. And the reason why you have this commitments is because, one, in order to have a stake pool, you need to pledge, right? If you don't pledge, your stake pool will be less attractive, and this aspects will massively will become much more important once IOHK will change A0, which they are planning to do, by the way, which it is coming, I think, this month. And A0 is essentially the pledge factor, and so they will likely change it to make it much more important, and so pledge will become much more important. So if you want to create a stake pool, you need pledge, and what pledge means is that you need to accumulate ADA, which means that your interests need to be aligned with the network. Because if they aren't, if you support hard fork, well, ADA's price will decrease, and well, you will be losing money, right? Because you have this pledge. And so your interests are directly aligned with the network. But on top of that, as you need delegation in order to produce blocks, like it's not like Ethereum where you either have 32 Ether or you don't. Here, you can store with any amount, and you need to attract stake. Well, you have a direct incentive to, one, have great marketing content, like we do, for example. I'm producing content so that you stake, so that you delegate with us. You didn't see that coming. Huh? So, content, for example, content production, that makes the protocol more known through content production, because people outside of the ecosystem see, oh, a video about Cardano, let me see it, and up they get into the ecosystem. Two, stake pools are directly incentivized to do things, to do something, right? ADA pools has a stake pool, and they are developing their Explorer. At Proof Africa, we are organizing activities in Africa, for example, or we are organizing at the moment a Haskell course in Nigeria. And again, we are attracting stake with that because we show that we are doing something. And so people like that, right? People like to delegate to these types of stake pools. And so stake pools have a clear commitment towards the protocol, and they are driving it forward, right? They are making it better by developing solutions on top of it. And this is something you don't find on Bitcoin, nor on Ethereum, nor Polkadot, nor any other protocol at the moment. Oh, Polkadot in a certain way, but there are still some differences because Polkadot, you also have slashing, for example. So if you make a mistake with a validator, for example, you will essentially lose all your rewards as a validator. So there are some risks, if I may say it like that, of running a validator, which don't have on Cardano, where essentially it's risk safe. It's not, because you need to care about security and that kind of stuff, but you have no risk of essentially losing your rewards unless you're hacked, of course. But that's also the case on Polkadot. And so there is a real commitment towards the protocol from stake pools, which you don't find on nearly any other network. And that's the core strength of Cardano. That's something which is clearly underrated. And so that's what I call the stake pool economy, because once Voltaire is here, stake pools will take over the lead and will drive this ecosystem forward, mainly because they have a clear source of funding, they have power, right? They have a user base, essentially, delegators. So they have a community they can use essentially for their projects. And they are directly incentivized incentivized to build on top of Cardano, again, because they need to attract delegation, and it's in their best interest because, well, they're pledging, right? So they have a ton of ADA, and the more that they contribute, the more likely it is that ADA's price will go up. So what you need to remember from this video is that Cardano is one of the only protocols, if not the only one, where there is a clear alignment in terms of interests in regards with the consensus entities, stake pools, and the network itself. And they are clearly committed to the protocol. That's it. So, if you like this video, please leave a like, share with all your lovers, friends, family, neighbors, your government, whoever it is. Just leave a like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter. Bye.